Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Little Lone Prepper, Diana 2, Gil, Gray Man Prepping. Let me see it. So we've got, says I don't have anybody watching, but I'm sure there are, at least those three. Good evening and welcome to the Nonfiction Post-Apocalyptic Book Club. And let me see here. We've got the book that we're doing tonight. Hello, Muskoka Oma. The book we're doing tonight is we're doing into Crisis Preparedness Guide. Kind of a weird book in the sense that it doesn't really have chapters. It has subjects, and so there's no chapter numbers. And so when you look here, it's got different subjects but not chapters. So we're going to kind of take a look at prepare yourself financially a little bit tonight. Get into that just a very small tad, and then the next subject is food and water. So we'll spend a little bit more time there. We did a basic discussion on the financial preparedness at the last session, and he has some really good ideas. Only purchase small denomination coins for barter. Try not to pay over 5 to 8% over the spot price. We're talking about precious metals here. Never buy for historical or numismatic value. Stay away from ETFs, proof coins, cold calls. Don't buy anything you see on TV, especially as a commercial, and make sure you find local dealers to deal with. I was dealing with one. I have been trading with him for 20 years, and he retired and sold it to Joe. Joe was a customer, and he was in there quite often when I was there as a customer. So the two of us got to know each other. At least I know him, have known him probably for a dozen years now that he is the owner. So I don't know, Muskoka Oma. That's a good question. Maybe I've turned people off. I don't know. But anyhow, that's some good news. We now have 6,001 subscribers. We lost one today. You can follow his comments. Hello, Shenanigans. Welcome. His comments are in, I think it's last night's. No. It's in the interview with John Grammer and his book from last Thursday. So it's in the United book, volume 2 of John Grammer's set. But he said, hey, please cut out the commercials. I saw probably 8 of them during your thing. He says, you don't have any control over it. And I said, no, I do have control over it. I choose to monetize my programs. And then 25% of that, hello, Storms Radio and Cats. For those of you who don't know, I give 25% of anything I make. And it's usually about $100 every 4 months, 3 or 4 months. I don't make that much, but I give 25% of it goes to St. Vincent de Paul, which helps people who are in need with their electric bills, gas bills, rent, mortgage, whatever, even food. And then 25% goes to the Salvation Army. So the commander of the local Salvation Army usually sits next to me at the Ministerial Alliance. So we have all the largest churches as well as the nonprofit groups. Like I represent our St. Vincent de Paul there at that meeting, but they all get together once a month and we try to find things. There was a family lost their daughter, did not have enough money to bury her, so we came up with the $8,000 to bury that child. So that's some of the things we do, and so that's what I do kind of with my money. And then 25% goes to the county food bank, and then the last 25%, $25, goes towards purchasing thank yous for getting my membership and subscriptions up. I was going to buy a light, but Maggie sent me one. So trying to now I'm going to spend money on how to edit videos on an Apple machine so I can do a little bit better with my editing. Take a course like that. So that's what we do with the money. And so I am monetized. I do get a little bit of money. He didn't like that, so he said I'm leaving. I said I'm sorry to see you go. I hope you find somebody who's not monetized that you'll be happy with. He didn't like the fact that I was being kind of considerate, so he said, let's just, I'm leaving, just leave it at that. So he wanted the last word. I'll leave him the last word. And, but for those of you, that's the reason why I am monetized. So 3/4 of the money I get goes to local charities. I just feel that I have an obligation, part of my faith, to help people who aren't as fortunate as I am. Okay, so let me see. Chef Tech 86, good evening. Welcome. It was good seeing you earlier this evening. Let me see. Oh no. Paul Harrell passed away. I am sorry to hear that. Gosh, that's a loss. So Shenanigans says that she uses Brave. They don't have ads on YouTube, but I will use Chrome for you, Lee, so you get the money to help others. Thank you, Shenanigans. I really appreciate that. Let's see where else. Mother Earth Garden Club, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. I got an offer today. I'll have to check it out. I got an email from a manufacturer of things related to that made me an offer today to represent them. I've got to check it out and see whether I want to or not. Prepper for the Agents, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you as well. Okay. Food acquisition and preservation, stockpile food for lean times. I think that's coming. It's imminent. Right now we have a wheat shortage. Right now we also have predictions of a coming meat shortage. So WHEAT shortage and MEAT shortage is imminent. Buy nutritious, shelf-stable foods that provide most of your vitamin and mineral needs. Remember, we talked last night. Aim for, I'm going to aim high rather than low. Aim for 2,000 calories a day as a minimum. But I would recommend 3,000 calories a day. Plan for 3,000 for a male and 2,500 for a female. Everybody else is going to tell you 2,000, 1,500. I'm going to tell you 3,000, 2,500, simply because I think we're going to have a lot of activity. Sue Me, welcome. Good evening. Where are you on your fantastic vacation? I would imagine, unless you stopped in that place I told you, you're probably at least to Kansas or Colorado or slightly beyond in your great journey. But gosh, she dropped by here yesterday and we had a wonderful time together. What a great person. Let me see. Number 2, buy bulk foods that act as filler and to provide calories. Number 3, buy what he calls superfoods to supplement your nutritional value. Not really sure what the superfoods are yet, but maybe later on in the book. Grocery foods to stockpile. Most of you are familiar with it. I harp on it all the time. Canned chili, chowder, fish, fruits, meats, soups, vegetables, chocolates, cookies. Cookies, I'm a little bit unsure of unless you can really get those well vacuum sealed. Hard candies, I wholeheartedly agree with. I do Lifesavers as well as the Jolly Rogers. I like the Werther's, butterscotch, and those other kinds of hard candies. I get the root beer and the peppermint hard candies at Walmart. So I wholeheartedly agree. That's going to be very important for morale. Ingredients to make bread, absolutely. Don't forget yeast. All of my yeast goes in the freezer once I get it. Iced tea, instant iced tea is fantastic. Jelly, mayo, as a matter of fact, we just took a one out of our rotation. So when we went to Walmart this last time, I had replaced it. It's right over there. Let me see if I can reach it. Getting ready for my weekly. I keep all my stuff that I purchased for my weekly Prepper Pantry haul right over there behind this screen. This is the screen right here to my left that I use as a backdrop when I do my pantry haul. Sometimes I'll move it behind me. You'll see it behind me, but I usually keep it right here to my left. But this is the very smallest jar there is of Miracle Whip. And so I always buy the smallest. That way, if we lose electricity, if we lose refrigeration, and I open it, I am not going to waste as much as a larger container if I open it, because this is a refrigerate after opening requirement. So, but he does recommend not Miracle Whip, but mayonnaise, nuts and nut butters. Helen just went through our pantry today, and we've got, like some peanuts from 2020 that we didn't open. And we have some that we did open, and they have now gone rancid. So we threw away a whole bunch of those today, going through our pantry and just checking on everything there. Pasta sauce, absolutely. Popcorn kernels, all kinds of popcorn kernels. Potato chips, those, once again, you're going to have to vacuum seal those. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you're absolutely true. Everything will taste like peppermint. Pre-mixed canned drinks, what we call bug juice, which is basically Kool-Aid. I like Tang. Tang is the instant orange drink that was made for the NASA restaurants. Vitamin, mineral enhanced. 2 scoops, 2 teaspoonsful to a glass of water. You've got a great tasting, highly nutritious drink, and I'd say that is something that I think is almost a prerequisite to keep stored. Seasoning seeds, sweetened drink and powder, sweetened powder drink mix. Bulk foods, he gives a list of them, and you're all familiar with those. Here's the superfoods. Apple cider vinegar, cocoa powder, chia seeds. I've never used chia seeds. I don't know other than the chia pets. Chlorella, I don't even know what that is. Coconut oil, yeah, I agree. I had coconut oil in this last week's Prepper Pantry haul. That's what my long-term cooking oil is. That and actual lard. Digestive enzymes, absolutely important. And that's going to be primarily your fermented foods. So things like sauerkraut or canned kimchi, or they have giardiniera sauce, which is fermented stuff. And we love pickled asparagus. Pickles themselves are fermented. So that's another great one to have for that. Robin in Virginia, good evening. Good to see you. So yeah, and so there, I watched a video with Alaska Prepper Rudy, and he pulled out 2 Snickers bars that he had vacuum sealed 7 years ago, and he ate one of them on camera and then re-vacuum sealed the other one. He's going to check it at the 14-year mark. But he said his Snickers, after 7 years of being vacuum sealed in a cool, dark environment, were still tasty. So I went out and bought a whole bunch of Snickers bars, and I've got probably a cardboard box equivalent to 6 number 10 cans. So basically a case of number 10 cans. I've got one of those filled with vacuum sealed Snickers bars. Powdered eggs, fiber powder or psyllium husk powder, fish oil or omega-3. You can get that as a vitamin enrichment tablet. Flax seeds, green tea, liquid minerals, multivitamins, absolutely plenty of multivitamins. And B12 is going to give you energy. So I like both. I do 2 B12s every day. I do a B12 sublingual, which is under the tongue, and I also do a B12, which I believe is 500 milligram orally. So I love B12. Probiotics, water, kefir grains, protein powder, raw honey, absolutely load up on raw honey. It's best if you can get local raw honey, because that means that the bees are basically getting the raw ingredient to make the honey from your local allergens. And so by eating your local honey, that means that you're getting a little bit of an exposure to those pollens that most people have an allergy to. And it helps you with allergy protection. Oh, gosh. I forgot to get my allergy shots the last Thursday of the month. I'll have to get them the day after tomorrow. Spirulina, vitamin C powder, and wheat germ. Talks a lot about growing things, that last phase. You're going to have, your food might last for a while, but then you're going to have to find self-sustainment, and that is growing your own food. We talked about that in the past, especially about Eric from Epic Gardening's attempts to grow wheat to feed his family. His whole backyard produced 1.5 loads of of bread. Animals to consider. Rabbits are probably the best one as far as raising a meat for you and your family. So you want to get rabbits for sure. They just proliferate like you would not believe. They're easy to keep. They aren't going to jump over your fence. They might burrow under, but they aren't going to jump over. So just some rods stuck in the ground or bricks or whatever where they're burrowing, and you can keep them pretty much contained. Talks about goats, hogs, ducks, rabbits, and then I have a friend who is a sheep herder, and so there's a lot of sheep and goats around here. She says she likes sheep, and she would recommend having either sheep or goats in a post-apocalyptic world for both the goats, especially for milk, but also good. Both of them are good for meats. Hunting, trapping, and foraging, of course, gets discussed in the book. He recommends 2 books, and I'll see if I can't find them and put them in the show notes. I still haven't put the show notes for last night. I'm sorry. I got kind of caught up in events today. One of my friends, he just had cancer surgery, and he's recovering. He finally got well enough. I thought he was going to go to stability class with me today. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do strength and endurance, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays is stability for seniors. So trying to stand on one leg and things like that. He haven't seen him for a while because of his cancer treatments. I thought that he would be there today, and so we were communicating. And he fell last night out in his yard and ended up having 4 stitches in his hand, so he's not there today. So I was kind of trying to help out with that. So that I apologize. That's my excuse for not having gotten this stuff done for last night that I promised. I'll try to catch up. I have a pain management appointment first thing tomorrow morning at 9:00. When I get back from that, have a little bit of time. Then at 1:00, we go for our strength and endurance hour of exercise. Silver sneakers or exercise for old farts. And then after that, I will try to get everything for both of these shows put in that I promised I would. He recommends the complete book of home preserving, and he also recommends a guide to canning, freezing, curing, smoking meat, fish, and game. Now, the complete guide to home book of home preserving is by Ball, the canning company. So I'm going to have to take a look at that as well. Let me see. Okay, next he goes into water. We had a quick discussion on that. We're going to go more into detail on that next Monday. He has a couple things I highlighted in here that I thought were really, really good. He talks about the rainwater collection system like I have. Make sure you have a pre-filter. So I use coffee filters and then a pour-over spout. So I'm going to pour the water out. I have a hose bib attachment down at the bottom of my 500-gallon tank. I'll put that into basically a 1-liter bottle or a 2-liter bottle. That's my dirty water. I'm going to pour that through the 15-micron coffee filter into a semi-clean water bottle. Then I'll bring that inside the house and pour it through my Berkey clone and allow that to gravity filter through a 0.0, no, it's a 0.01, yeah, 0.01 micron filter. So that, and then it also, the version I have also has a battery operated UV filter at the end, so that any protozoa that are in there or live things that get through, they'll be killed by the UV filter. So, and I'll put a link to that down below as well for late tomorrow afternoon. Don't look for anything on either of these 2 lives until probably after 5:00 tomorrow. He gets into a really good discussion on water rationing. I think it's critical, and he raises a lot of good points. But before we get into water rationing, let me check up on chat here. So Muskoka Oma says that it's high in sugar, not good for folks with bad livers. Thank you for that. Yes, read all the labels. I mean, sometimes you're putting stuff in your body you assume, and it's not. So shenanigans, you'll have to teach me. I know nothing about them. So send me an email. Let me know. Give me some great ideas with it. Gil's back. And yes. So Mother Earth Garden Club says to get powdered butter, milk, and buttermilk, which is absolutely essential. And last night I recommended that you get your milk from the LDS Provident Living Store. That's number one. Number two would be Thrive Life. I don't get anything if you buy from the LDS store. I do get a small commission if you buy from my Thrive Life account. Instant coconut milk powder. I have not seen that, but that is a great idea. Come on. I guess, according to this, I guess I'm at the bottom of the comments. Gil says, the staff sergeant is an accountant, and her mantra is budget, budget, budget. Absolutely. And then goats can also keep their lawn clipped down. That's true. They do a lot of things that are beneficial. Okay, let me get my glasses. I want to read you some of this. He talks about our habits today versus our habits in a post-apocalyptic world. Given that the typical adult should consume a gallon of water per day, use another gallon or two for cooking, and you will need a few gallons for personal hygiene, to include brushing your teeth, washing your hands. I did a short on 3-tub hand washing. He goes into it in detail in here, but he does it slightly different. He does it the way I did it with my food service trailer when I did disaster response, which is great. But the way he does it, you can't save the water and pour it from one tub into the other. So he recommends storing approximately 150 gallons of water per person at a minimum. A family of 4 would require 600 for 2 weeks. This equates to approximately 11 55-gallon barrels or 2 IBC totes of water on your property. Obviously, 5 gallons of water, he says, per day is a far cry less than the 100 gallons that each person uses on average today. So in your home right now, you get in the shower, and sometimes that shower just feels so good you stay there a little bit longer. In the Army, we were very water conscious, especially out in the field. So what you did was you got wet, put shampoo in, massaged it in, got your body soapy, and then you rinsed it off. Now, you got wet, turn the water off, put the shampoo in your hair, put the soap on your body, and then you got to rinse it off. You probably used maybe a total of 3 to 5 gallons of water per person. And that was in order for it to have enough going through the water heater so you could have hot water. But it was also, we had to use trailers of water as a source. And so when you have an entire company going through the shower point at one time, it becomes critical you conserve water. You use as little as possible. Most of us can't do that. So he talks about, bathing. Start practicing bathing with less water now. And it also helps out the environment. So he talks about that method that I just told you, being that the Army or Navy shower. Talks about 3 buckets or tub. He calls them bins. I call them tubs. Fill the first with a solution of hot soapy water, the second with warm water for rinsing, and the third with the bleach solution with 2 teaspoons of bleach to 1 gallon of cold water as a disinfectant. And we had commercial restaurant bleach sanitizer that we poured into our rinse water, our final rinse water. The way I do it is, in a post-apocalyptic world, the first one's going to be soapy water. The second one's going to be first rinse water, and the second one's going to be second rinse water. At the end of the day, that soapy water is going to be really dirty, so you want to pour it out. Then you're going to take your first rinse water, pour it into your soapy water tub, and that still has residual soap in it. Then you're going to add a little bit more soap. You're going to take your final rinse, make it your first rinse, and then you're going to add fresh water to your final rinse. So that's kind of the same idea. I'm not using disinfectant, though, in the last one. We had a good comment on that video from Maggie, and she said that she was taught to use sand to get rid of the grease and other things like that before you actually washed it. And that's what we did in the Scouts as well. So when we were out in the field, You can take sand, especially if you're at a riverside. Take the river sand and roll that inside your eating gear, that or your cooking gear, whichever you're using. That's going to get rid of most of the grease, oils, and stuff like that. But it also kind of semi pollutes that stream or lake. And then you can just rinse it out. So that's true, very true. I have a limited supply of sand in my backyard, but that's a very effective thing. What I like, and what I buy plenty of it. We probably have 9 jars of it. Is the Dawn Power Wash. I will tell you, we've had spaghetti sauce stains. We've had, Helen, what are some of the worst things that we've had that
burned on grease?
Burned on grease, and just spray that Dawn Power Wash on it. Let it sit for a second or two. Bang! It is good. What are you looking for?
You have a package of Cheetos?
Here.
Oh, is there anything else?
Yeah, there's a little bit left. I had the open bag of Cheetos. Okay, clothes washing becomes very important. So how are you going to wash your clothes? And that same thing with that 3-tub type of a thing. I have 6 tubs. I do 3 for the hand washing, just like I described just a minute ago, and I do 3 for the dishes. Okay, so they also recommend that using that same philosophy for washing your clothes. Now I have a hand spinner washing machine that I found on YouTube, on Amazon. So basically, you put the soapy water in there first. If you use pure soap, okay, and I'll show you. I'll put a link into some. I have some pure soaps, and plus I can't have anything that has any formaldehyde or formoterol products in it. I'm allergic to them, and so I can't have most preservatives. But pure soap doesn't need a preservative. So if you have the pure bar soap for clothes cleaning or anything like that, it doesn't have any surfactants or anything that adheres the soap together to make it more expansive. You can rinse that out very easily. So that first rinse cycle is going to take care of it. A little bit of water, you're in a spinner, it's going to spin all that out and it's good to go. And if there is any residual soap in it, it's okay. It's not going to do anything to you. Other than have you smell a little bit better. It's not like the surfactants that actually destroy the fibers of your clothing when you don't get them all out. So that's pretty much what we wanted to talk about this evening. Let me catch up on the chat, and then from there we'll go into a couple of things that are going on, and with the channel and not my life, and how it's going to affect you. And so we can go from there. Laura Mannion, welcome. Good to see you. Let me see here. The gravity solar showers, Little on Purpose says, holds 5 gallons. If careful to, absolutely correct. Just basically rinse yourself down. You can also do a sponge bath. That's a small container of water, and you can do a sponge bath, sponge it on, then drip it off. If you watch my haul videos, you'll notice that probably on my monthly Amazon delivery, I have the same wipes that are used in hospitals. So that when somebody is in bed and they want to give them a shower, they have these wipes that no rinse required. And you can wipe the body down. It soaps it and rinses it and kind of removes everything all at the same time. I get a package of those, and it's actually a package of 3 packages taped together. They call it one product. 36 sheets of that, and probably 2 sheets for each person to bathe. And but that's basically a washcloth type of a bath. So that's I highly recommend that as well. So bathing is going to become very important. Although when we all stink, nobody smells it. Okay, it's the people who are clean smell the unclean people. Unclean people don't smell each other. Okay, shaving cream, aftershave, cologne, stuff like that, toothpaste. we in the third world countries that we've been fighting in, the enemy can smell that a mile away when they're downwind from us. So some of the things we do, they can smell, and some of the things that they do, we can smell. So Little on Prepper says that I missed one up above. Let me get up here. I plan on very little dishwashing. I agree. We're using mostly disposable bowls because I think bowls are far more versatile than plates because you can use a bowl for both a plate or a bowl, whereas you can only use a plate as a plate. And I think we're probably going to be doing an awful lot of soups, stews, and chowders. But I agree. However, the cooking utensils and the pots and things like that, we are going to have to cook. We are going to have to wash. Native Americans use sand for scrubbing their bodies, but they didn't have markets to buy soap. Absolutely. They also use sweat houses, the same thing as what the Scandinavian people did. So they would build a small enclosure with a fire on the inside. They would get inside. The sweat would come out of their bodies and take all the dirt and other pollutants out of their bodies. And then they would scrape it off basically with a stick. And so scrape the outer layer of the epidermis along with the sweat off. And that was the way that they cleaned. Yes, you're absolutely right. A little bit of vinegar in the rinse water can get rid of extra soap and clothes. Thank you for that, Muskoka Oma. Great tip. Thank you for sharing that. So Utah Mike says his wife demands that he bathe more than once a week. That's probably a very, very good thing. And change clothes too. Don't forget. Let me see. I have seen evidence that some natives are deeply offended by soap and water. I don't know. Like I said, I have a cousin whose mother is pure. I forget. I think it's Shawnee. But he's half, and so he has a lot closer ties to that community than I do. But gosh, he's one of the most strikingly good-looking guys I've ever seen. He has a lot of Native American features, along with the blend of Caucasian and Native American, and and the girls go crazy over him. He's just, I wish I had half of his looks. He's just a fantastic, and half of his personality too. He is just a phenomenal cousin. I just absolutely love him. KP Heathen, good evening. Welcome. Okay, so that's pretty much what we wanted to cover this evening. Let me go over a couple things that are going on with the channel and give you some ideas. So, do I have the books here? I thought I had them. No, I know where they are. I have them getting ready to take them to either Office Depot or FedEx Kinko's tomorrow. I'm going to take the instructor guide and the participant guide and have them 3-hole punched so I can put them in a 3-ring binder. And then I'm going to take my Ruby Payne book, Getting Out of Poverty, my Dr. Bagel book, and have it. And both of them, I'm going to have both of them coil bound. So I'm going to spend about $30 undoing books and having them redone in a more convenient way so that I can have access to them during class. We are starting in October. We are going to start our 16-week Getting Out of Poverty class, where we're having meetings with a dozen people who have lifelong poverty, and we're going to try to help them explore ways out of poverty. And so part of it is a mindset of poverty. Dr. Payne has a good example. I'll give you a good example that Helen had when she was teaching. But Dr. Payne talks about kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that a low-income family, when they feed their children at the end of the meal, they ask, did you get enough? A middle-income family assumes that enough food was presented, so they say, did it taste good? And so now you've elevated that requirement from vision to from enough to taste. And then the third level up top is how was it presented? So we want to shift people from that constant mindset of did you get enough? I had one of my cooks when I was when I had my disaster response trailer. He and his wife, she was a entertainment dancer, let's call it, and so he didn't have a full-time job, but they lived in that condition most of their life. And so I remember one time they were working for me, at Canton at the first Monday festival that they have there. We went up there and served food as an outdoor snack bar. And so he went to Walmart and he bought these radio controlled cars, and they played with them there at the Canton Fair for 2 or 3 days. They got their pleasure out of it, and then they put them back in the box and took them back to Walmart and got their money back. They had gotten the pleasure that they wanted out of it. So it's called tyranny of the moment. So you use your money for what you want for right now, and then you want to develop. We want to change that, use it for now, think of it later. Helen had a student, and they were trying to give them leftover food to take home and put in their fridge. And the student said, we don't have a refrigerator. So the teachers got together, got enough money to buy this student's family a refrigerator, a used refrigerator, so that they could keep food in the family. And so then about a month later, she was coming in hungry again. And Helen asked her, what happened to the refrigerator and the food that we're giving you? She says, oh, well, we wanted to go camping. So my mother sold the refrigerator so we could afford to go camping. And so that's that tyranny of the moment. It's satisfaction for the now. We want to get people out of that. Well, those classes are going to be on Tuesday evenings, so that's going to interfere with this. Okay. So I apologize for that, but starting in October, we're going to move tonight from Tuesday night to Wednesday night. Okay. I would say Thursday, but on Thursdays, we already have the Fiction Book Club, the last Thursday of the month. The first Thursday of the month is my ham radio, our county ham radio club. And then the second Thursday of the month is our Aries meeting, the Austin Amateur Radio Emergency Services Group. So I have 3 nights, so three Thursdays a month, I'm booked up. So I think Wednesday will probably be the best night for that. So we're going to change Tuesday night, beginning the first Wednesday in October. Instead of Tuesday nights, we're going to be Wednesday nights. So we'll have this Monday and Wednesday evenings. Okay. Let me catch up with comments because I see that there were some really good ones here while I was kind of on my soapbox there, the pun intended. When my son was an EMT in California, he sometimes had to go to the reservations. He said some of the homes were pretty bad. Yes, and there's an awful lot of poverty, and we can do so much to help those people. But it's more than just giving things to them. It's also helping them change a mindset. There is a hereditary mindset of poverty, and so we've got to help change that. Hello, Vivian. Welcome. Good to see you. Let me see. And so Utah Mike says when he was a kid, no food was ever left on the plate. Leads to overeating and overweight. Yes, it does. And that's the same thing. The tyranny of the moment on a lot of the American reservations is, eat everything you can now because it may not be there tomorrow. And that is very poor dietary habits. Mother Earth Garden Club says, save wood ash in a barrel. Absolutely true. And when almost full, pour water through and out of a faucet near bottom. What comes out is lye. Use lye and tallow to make soap. You're absolutely correct. In the absence of tallow, you can use bacon grease. So let me see. I just saw something on that the other day, Laura, and I'm very curious about that. So I would love to hear more about that. Sophie Oxford says, I've seen that giving appliances to poor people often doesn't help them if they don't have electricity. Well, that's very true. Very true. Or can't afford. You would not believe the number of families that we visit on a regular basis. I would venture to say our conference, okay? So we probably have 30 of us in our conference who work together for St. Vincent de Paul. I am going to say that we probably do 20 to 30, somewhere in that vicinity. Now, let's call it 25. We help 25 people who have gone 3 months without have gone 3 months. They're about to have their electricity cut off because they don't cut it off until 3 months. And so we have to help them keep that from getting shut off. And here in Texas in the summer, electric bills can be humongous because of air conditioning. So Kaylin says Wednesday's a good night for her. Thank you, Kaylin. Lard is good for soap. Thank you. That's what I was looking for, Mother Earth. So you can wood ash with either tallow or lard. Great, thank you. And there's a difference too. Phylloxera brings up a very good point that there's a hereditary mindset with all three of the major economic classes. Okay, there's an assumption from the middle class that they'll never make it to the upper class. And I'm talking, when I say class, I'm talking about financial status. I'm not talking about their ideology. So let's call it low income, middle income, high income. So the vast majority of middle income people never imagine that they'll have a life over $400,000 a year. They can't even imagine $100,000 a year. So, and the lower income people don't even imagine that. So, there is no aspiration. Let's put it that way. My mother was a manager for Western Union. Show you how old I am. A night manager. So I never saw her at night except on weekends. And as a matter of fact, I was in school while she was sleeping, and then she was working when I came home from school. And then my dad was an Army officer, a warrant officer, and he was in air defense artillery. So he was a SAM surface-to-air missile. He worked with both the Nike Hercules as well as later the Hawk, homing all the way killer. And so he spent, on average, 1 year overseas out of every 3 that I knew him until the day that he retired. So I only knew my dad 1/3 of the time. But we were very middle income, and very appreciative of the life that I grew up with. I think it gave me some aspirations as well as some thought processes that made me what I am today. Yeah, I think everybody needs to live frugally right now. Absolutely. And that's why I'm recommending against spending a whole bunch of money on freeze-dried foods and dehydrated foods right now, except for dairy, eggs, powdered eggs, and dairy being milk and cheese, powdered eggs, and meats. Those are the only 3 things I think people should be spending a lot of money on as far as dehydrated and freeze-dried right now. And that dairy, also butter. But the rest of it, you can get far more stuff canned in bulk. And because I think it's going to be needed very quickly, probably in the next 2 to 3 months, I would venture to say, is we're going to be at that point where we're using our preparations. Wow, that's great. I love that. That's a fantastic thing to do, KP Heathen. I mean, I like to see people helping other people. That's important in our lives. Oh, that's great. It jumped on me as I was clicking, and that happens every once in a while. They have LI HEAP, Low Income Home Energy Assistant Program. We have one here called Opportunities. And so it's a federal grant along with the state grant, and I can refer people to Opportunities to help them with their monthly bill. But that process takes 3 months to get into it. And so right now, if there's an emergency need right now that's going to get cut off, I'll pay the amount that's owed right now to keep it from getting turned off via St. Vincent de Paul. And then we will refer them to Opportunities. So they have to make the next 3 payments, and then Opportunities after that will make the payments for the rest of the year. And then that goes on a calendar year instead of a fiscal year, because the fiscal year starts October 1st for the federal government, September 1st for the state government. And now that I'm retired, it's much more important that I live a little bit more frugal as well. Utah Mike says that he never made his sons empty their plates, but he did require them to have one bite of everything every time. Yes, and we my there was a when there was still Bergstrom Air Force Base, we were allowed to take our dependents there as part of TRICARE, even though you were retired. So I took my daughter to the pediatrician there, and he told her to eat peas. And she liked him, and he liked her, and so she started eating peas because the pediatrician told her to. And so he had a picture of her up on his wall and said, "The only child who has ever eaten peas at my suggestion." But that was great. Yeah, and believe it or not, sometimes that's military retirement pay. So I am with you. I understand. Um, I wish things were different. Teacher retirement pay here in Texas sucks. Absolutely sucks. I can tell you that much. Um, Poor teachers overpay for health insurance and are underpaid to boot. We lived that with my wife working there. Shenanigans lives on $1,300 a month. Um, yeah, and so sold her home, and then now you can take a portion of that and live off of it. Absolutely. Um, and I admire that, to tell you the truth. Uh, the fact that you could grow your own food. I can't. And so you have a skill far more valuable than anything I have. One pair of shoes a year, rummage sales clothes, but in fact, we never knew we were poor. I was watching a video of two North Korean soldiers, and they were talking about how powerful North Korea is because they captured the U.S. heavily armed warship, the USS Pueblo, and the USS Pueblo only had 250 caliber machine guns on it. So they're using that as a propaganda tool that they captured an American warship, but it wasn't a warship. It was a ship of war in the fact that it was a Navy ship, but it wasn't what you might call an armed ship. So yeah, perception is where you're looking at it from. Absolutely true. I agree with you, Tuck by V. I think, and here's what I gave a presentation Sunday evening. And I said, here's the difference between the Great Depression of the 1930s and the Great Depression of the 2020s. Okay. In the 1930s, electricity had just been introduced out into the rural areas. As a matter of fact, the very first rural electric co-op is the county just northeast of us, Burnett County. That was the very first one in the U.S. The Rural Electrification Act of, I want to say 1933. It might have been 1938. I think it was 33, but it might have been 38. One of those two. And that's the basically also the one that allowed for the Tennessee Valley Authority and the Lower Colorado River Authority. Now they didn't have the money for both, so Congress funded the Tennessee Valley Authority, and Texas said, we will enter into a joint agreement with the federal government and we'll fund the Lower Colorado River Authority. So the lower LCRA, the Colorado River, is the only joint state federal thing. And so they produce the vast majority of electricity here for Central Texas. So Austin and the areas around it, we get our electricity from the Colorado River, the LCRA. But the fall, because in the 1930s, they didn't have that much electricity. There was not that much dependence upon electricity. So there wasn't that much of a fall. People didn't have a whole bunch of stuff taken away from them. Okay. However, in the 21st century, we're living at this level, and that level was here. And so when we go without electricity, it's going to be bang. You're going to suffer a lot. When we don't have the foods that we have, the packaged foods, the convenience foods, the microwave foods, and all that other kinds of stuff, some people will starve. I had one neighbor I helped, and I took him out to the food pantry, got him all kinds of food, did all kinds of stuff to help him. He says, now how do I cook this? He was 22 years old, had never cooked a meal in his life. So I bought him basically a children's cookbook, and a very basic cook set, a frying pan and a pot, and gave him some cooking lessons to help him because his dad, who had just recently passed away, did all the cooking. And the reason he was so impoverished was he was eating every meal at Denny's. And he didn't know that you could cook at home and save a lot of money. His dad did that. And he didn't know how to do it. So we had to train him in that. So another one of those issues of people we're going to fall hard. We will fall hard. That's absolutely true. I didn't see Prepper Princess come in. Okay. Is your role model. I didn't think she'd come to a channel with only 6,000 subscribers. So 3 hour meals waiting for my daughter to try broccoli. Now it's a favorite. I don't like cooked broccoli. I like raw broccoli. As a matter of fact, I had that for lunch today. I had raw broccoli, carrots, celery, and cauliflower and snow peas with ranch dressing for lunch today. And then dinner was fried chicken and coleslaw. That's the best way to be. No debt. Absolutely. Our old house, our big house, basically, the monthly payments on the taxes were just astronomical. And so even though it was paid off, so we sold it, downsized, we're able to buy this house with the proceeds from that house. And the taxes now are a lot more manageable. They're within our income level. So let's say that we can now live a little bit more comfortably. Although I won a legal case against the person who bought my store. They messed me out of $4,000. And then because they kept deferring the cost and everything else, it got to the point where they owed me $20,000. And then legal fees is another $15,000. So I'm down $35,000. We won the case and we can't collect from her because she jury-rigged the books all of a sudden, and the store isn't making any money, although she was claiming it was bankrupt a year ago, but it's still in doing business today. I don't know how a bankrupt store can stay open for another year because, oh well. And so, but I'm still having to pay my lawyer payments, even though she's supposed to pay them. So that's an added burden, and I'm really praying hard. I could put her out of business by confiscating all of the assets, but if I put her out of business, then I'm a co-signer. One of the conditions of selling the store was I had to co-sign as a backup on the lease for the store, so that if anything happens to her and she can't pay the monthly rent for that or lease for that space that the store is in, then it falls on me. So, and I'm honest enough to where I would do it, whereas I have a feeling she would find a way out of it. But we'll see what happens. I'm debating whether or not to confiscate all the assets. Because I tell you, I surely cannot afford $400 a month that I'm paying to my attorney. So Storms Radio and Cat says, trust me, my mental home is patched up to where else are you going to find $300 a month rent? Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I thought my credit was, I've got a credit score in almost 800 or over 800. And so I applied for a credit card at Bass Pro Shop, and they denied it because I so seldom charge and have to pay off. So even though I pay all my debts and I have a sizable savings amount and because I don't borrow money on a regular basis, they didn't like me. And so they said, no, you can't have a Bass Pro Shop credit card. You are so lucky, Kaylin, so lucky. There are so many landlords who are not that considerate. I hope you say a prayer of thanksgiving on a regular basis. Looks like we're getting close to cutting down here. Absolutely. Great philosophy, Mother Earth. Absolutely. Unfortunately, it is very prevalent, Laura. That I wish it weren't. And that's that class that we're going to start teaching on Tuesday nights. So that's part of that whole theory that we've got to help people with. We don't teach simple things in high school anymore, like budgeting, home economics, and things that are really, really important. We don't teach that. So it's just Laura Mannion, you are absolutely right. Very creative bookkeeping. And so my attorney said to her, "Hey, you put all this stuff on paper, but we want it notarized. We want an affidavit that this is true and accurate and correct, and then we're going to take it to the judge." And we never got that. And my lawyer gave up on me. I don't, he's out for the money. He's not out for what's right. My opinion of lawyers is going down even faster. He doesn't care about win or loss, or he doesn't care about right and wrong. What he cares about is his $15,000 reimbursement for his time. And, so my opinion of lawyers is going down like you would not believe. That looks like the last comment. Great timing. Okay, so this in October will be shifted to Wednesday nights. Okay, so we'll be doing Mondays and Wednesdays. And remember, on Monday nights, we're doing the list of lists. We're going through that from the How to Survive Teotwalkie by James Wesley Rawls, and great book. And so we'll be continuing to go through that. I've noticed that some of you have been ordering from the Thrive Life. Thank you very much for that. Now, here's a secret. I want to give you two secrets that'll save you a little bit of money if you want Thrive Life and if you want nutrient survival. Okay. So on the Thrive Life, if you say, send me a monthly shipment, okay, so you enroll in the monthly shipment program, then you get about a 15% discount and if you buy $99 worth of food, you get free shipping. Okay. So that's great. So I have mine set up for the 4th of each month. Okay. So, and then I change it. I go in and change it on a regular basis so that I take advantage of the sales, so that I'm getting the sale items at even another 15% reduced price. Now I'm getting free shipping on top of that. What you can also do is you can also go in and say, hey, defer this month's shipment. And you can do that indefinitely. Okay. So that first shipment, you get your 15% discount, you get the sale discount and everything else. Then if you can't afford it the next month, you say, I just can't afford it this month. Hit that defer shipment button, and it doesn't ship. Okay. Then the next month, if you can't afford it, you hit defer shipment again. You don't have to take it every month, even though you said you would, but you get that discount. So that's for Thrive Life. Okay. The other one is with nutrient survival, and that's all these cans that I have over here. You see them usually off my left shoulder when I was sitting on the other side. But with nutrient survival, there is a code down at the bottom. So if you spend $100, you can get $35 worth of free samples. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a code, CWP10, Cold War Prepper 10. That gets you a 10% discount. Okay. Don't use that code until you've spent $370 on nutrient survival stuff. And the reason is at $100, you can get $37 worth of free stuff using their code. Okay. And yet $37 is good, and it doesn't equal 10% until you've spent $370. So that 37 is right at 40% almost of $100, 37% to be exact. And so, it goes down until you get the 10% when you spend $370. So the only time I want you to use my code is after you spend $370. Otherwise, some of their codes are far better as far as helping you to save money and stretch your dollar and go further with what you buy at Nutrient Survival. But I do recommend that you consider them because of the nutrient enhancements. They have a fantastic powdered milk, by the way. They have a fantastic powdered butter. Remember, those are two of the things I said I strongly recommend you get in powdered form. They have a fantastic vitamin and nutrient and mineral enhanced coffee. So if you're into instant coffee, that's a great way to go because it has been enhanced with minerals, vitamins, and nutrients, so that you can almost use that as a source of some of your energy. So, okay, now that we've given you those secrets, please remember that we are going through this together. Okay. And as we are told in the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 34, 35, 24, 25, 26. Let me put my glasses on. 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and grant you peace. So please remember, we're all in this together for one reason, so we can come out of it together. By being kind, polite, and respectful to each other, that means that togetherness is the key, and we are togetherness. Now then, if I know you, you're invited here. Okay. Sue Me dropped by. I feel very comfortable saying Sue Me, drop on by in case anything happens. John and Rebecca have been here. I've met and talked with them. They are welcome here, although they have a homestead. They would probably say the opposite. They would say it would be better off if I went to them than they come to me. But if I have a chance to meet you, if I can learn where you're coming from, if I can see where you are, what you are, then absolutely. One of the things that we have to do is remember that it's only by helping other people that we can get fulfillment in life. It's not by keeping everything we have to ourselves or everything for ourselves. We have to share. So that means knowledge. We call it the 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure. So if you don't have anything else, you can give a little bit of time to help other people. You have a talent that you can share and give to other people. And you also have treasure, which is your dollars or your property that, sometimes that jacket can save another person's life. So thank you, everybody. Glad to see you're here. We will see you a week from Monday, this coming Monday. Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. I have a whole bunch of YouTube announcements here. The Angry Truth is live. Keith Nestor, U.S. Grace Force. Will you fight against martial law? And will you fight against martial law? Angry Pepper. I got to go to there. Okay, to everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.